All right guys, so we're here at 7 Mile and I've never been here before, pretty excited. We're going to chat to Matt and find out everything that there is about 7 Mile. All right, Matt, so mate, thanks for coming in and showing this. I know you're flying out tomorrow and you're giving us this time. Let's talk about your brew kit here, man. Is it, like, did you buy it as this big kit from go, or has this been?
It's been, I guess, modular or progressive. We started this 3-vessel kit that we've got as Premier Stainless kit. That was all one big go. So started from the left, we've got just our hot liquor tank, roughly 3,000 litre hot liquor tank. And then it's a 10 barrel or a 12 hec brew house. So 3-vessel system, combined mash lauter, standalone kettle, and a standalone whirlpool. The idea behind us doing those 3 split was for us, we like making hoppy beers, hop forward beers. So having a standalone whirlpool just gives you a bit more control with your whirlpool temperatures and timings. Whereas at the time when we built this around 2017, it was still probably a bit more common to see a bit more of a combined kettle whirlpool. But yeah, for us it was more important to get that separation so we could, I
was going to say, like, having worked at Helios, like all of these valves are very familiar. The brew deck, the sink for doing everything up there is very familiar as well. And Helios is a 2-vessel with combined kettle whirlpool. How handy are these, hey?
Yeah, nice little
sample.
Yeah, wort sample chiller. Yeah, the little sink system works great. Yeah, I mean, it's a very basic system. It hasn't been cleaned since brewing on it, so she might be a little dirty in there still, but gets a CIP every Friday for us. End of week we do a full CIP and everything, so everything's been brewed in today and only rinsed out. But
have you got a grist case?
Yep, so the grist case is down there underneath the mezzanine. Yeah, so we mill from our mill deck. All our grain gets loaded to where those cans are and those boxes up there. So we load our pallet of grain up there. Any spare bags go off to the side, and then we pour straight through the floor into the mill and then into the grist case, up the auger tube, down the auger, then just through a little piece of PVC like so, and then into our mash mixer there, or grist hydrator.
They work great, eh?
Straight through into the mash lauter. So yeah, very simple setup.
So your kit, man, like, you've got some fermenters here and quite a few of them that are way more capacity than what you've got here. Are you brewing beers that are a lot longer in tank, like that you keep them in there, like your lagers and stuff? Like, are you doing 6-week lagers or something to make sure that it's...
So we've got 21 total tanks, including brights. We've got 4 brights, but 21 total tanks. And as I said, our brew house is a 12 hec brew house, but we've only got, I think, 5 or maybe even 4 12 hec tanks. The rest are 24s, and then we've got 6 36s. So for the most part, we're doing double or triple brews to fill them. And that's, generally speaking, our core range beers and more popular beers are going to obviously go on the bigger tanks. The little 12s.
West Coast IPA.
West Coast IPA.
Joel and I love that beer, man. We talk about it every time.
The little 12 heckers are, mainly what we're actually doing the West Coast in, and limited releases. Pretty much just rocking those little 12s.
When you started tacking on all these bits, was it tap room? And you've just had to keep whacking this, keep making the tap room a little bit smaller, like for patrons?
Pretty much, yeah. So when the very first kit we had was the brew house we're on. That's a cold liquor tank closest to us, hot liquor tank, and then we had this first string. We only had 5 tanks. We had 3 little 312s and 2 24s, and that was it. That was what we started with. It was just this row. So basically everything else that's out from here now wasn't here. We had that and the cold room, so there was an enormous empty space in the middle here, and that was just tables, and even that was pretty empty because we didn't really get that many people through our doors early days. So yeah, we had a huge abundance of space, but that was intentional. Like a lot of people, I guess, brewers that had started in the 2010s, they were planning for growth, and even though we were later in that, we were 2017,
it was still there.
It was still on the cards. We still knew we were going to grow. I'd come previously from Four Pines, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit later. And so I'd seen the growth they went through, and my advice from anyone that I'd spoken to and from what I'd seen working for other breweries and growing was everyone's advice was, hey, build it bigger than you think you need. You'll run out of space. Trust me, you'll run out of space. And we did, like, we got to the size, the volume, I guess, we're at now within about 3-4 years.
Yeah, right.
And we're in year 6 or 7 now. So we've been like at floor capacity for about 3 years. So yeah, it definitely was intentional, but yeah, very much an empty space when we started.
Has it ever been a consideration to get a bigger kit, or is the smaller kit really good because you don't know, like your minimum batch size isn't that bad that you don't have to worry about, like, you know, you can just brew one and throw it in this little one, whereas if you go to a bigger kit, you know.
we don't have a pilot kit here, so without a pilot kit, yeah, definitely I'm pretty hesitant to ever double this up to a 24 hex system or anything like that. It would make financial sense, like just from making core range beers.
That's
it would
right.
make sense. The accountant, I'm sure, could find a way to justify that argument to me, but yeah, from an experimental point of view at the moment, we definitely need to keep it at this size just so we can keep running 12 hex experiments. But if we were to ever get to a point where we could fit in like a nice little 500 or 600 litre system or something like that for experimentals, that'd be
fun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
At the moment, we don't have the floor space, so it's mainly waiting for a neighbouring business to maybe move, and then we can take over some other neighbouring warehouses and see what we can come
keep
up with.
Keep going. Yeah, nice. Your canning line, can we ever have a look at that? With your canning line, do you find yourself, do you can every beer that you put out?
We do now. So the first few years, so the canning line now we've had for, I want to say, before years, because just before COVID, I think we got our canning line very luckily, I think about 4 or 5 months before COVID hit.
Yeah, right.
So at first we didn't. We only canned probably half of all of the limiteds we were doing. We'd normally still start beers off as keg release only. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way. Send them out to the pubs, pour half of it roughly over our own taps, see what feedback we got. If it was popular, if we were getting that feedback that we wanted, then we would go, okay, let's spend the money on graphic design, let's get labels, let's do all that sort of stuff. Now that as we've grown and our demand has grown, we're just a bit more confident in taking concepts straight to market. So we don't have a test phase. Like I said, we don't have a pilot system. We just go, hey, new concept, new idea,
keg can.
12 heck, roughly, 800 litres of it go into cans. Roughly, again, 400 litres of it goes into kegs, and then we just go, sweet, out to the market and see what happens. So everything we've got here is from Alpha and Scar Fabrication, so 2 American companies. Us and Black Hops were the first Alpha canning lines in the country. We got them through Belmore Packaging in northern New South Wales. So this started its life as a 4-head filler. These thicker tubes are the fill tubes, and then they've got that little probe there is what tells it when it's full. It makes contact with the foam on the beer and tells, hey, the can's full, and it starts a countdown timer from being full. Anyway, so we started life with 4 heads and 4 purge heads, and now we've upgraded it to 8 and 8. This can get upgraded further if we wanted to put twin fill heads on each can as well, and it would fill even faster. Pretty standard 2 twin seamer. We have our rinser here, so basically a shower head there that it goes through, and then a few blades. Got crap everywhere, but blades, so these knock all the water off. From there, and then if we're labelling, which is very rare these days, runs through the labeler. And then from the labeler goes to the automatic 4-pack applicator, which is here, so that just chucks the 4-packs on them. And then normally this accumulation table would be on the other end and just knocking out cartons.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for walking us through around there. It's pretty awesome. I love seeing new kit, even though it's still stainless, but it's always different, right? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking it's meant to be a red, but it's not quite there. So it's just our red IPA that we've got on at the moment. Nice. It's a little shy of being red, but that's what I'm on. And
I got the Ether and you guys collab. When did this come out?
The Fusion. About 2 weeks ago, give or take. So that was an interesting one. For the listeners at home, we won Champion Traditional IPA at the IBAs, the Independent Brewers Awards, and at the AIBAs, the International Beer Awards. And Aether got Modern IPA with their West Coast at the Indies. We both wanted to work together and create a combined IPA, basically taking both of not just our core range West Coast and blending them together, but just brewing a West Coast, new West Coast recipe each, and then blending it together. But we took it sort of the next step where instead of doing what we normally might do, where we'd just go up there or they'd come down here and we'd just go, oh, these are 2 recipes, let's just brew 600 litres of each, and we'll just put the 600 litres of each into our 12 hect tank. We actually brewed our own batch, our own 24 hect tank. Well, I think it ended up being about 16 hect. It was a bit in between for volume for us. They brewed their own roughly 24 hect batch, and they drove down here in a dairy truck with a bright tank on the back of it, and we transferred from our FE into the dairy truck bright, drove it up there, and then chucked it in their tank and just blended the 2 together. And then they packed it up there on their line. So we're pretty sure it's the only time in Australia that that's happened that way. There's been other ways.
I was just going to ask, is that normal for you? But it's
not normal for
anyone.
Not normal for us. Not normal for anyone. Normally you just do a collab. You just rock up to each other's place and make a beer. But we wanted to actually look at the collaboration a little bit from a different lens and just go, well, let's actually fuse our 2 brands together. So hence the name Fusion. Just really join 2 IPAs together.
I'm going to backtrack a bit. When we were talking in there, like you mentioned, 4 Pines. Is that where you started, or where else have you worked? And
4 Pines was like the bulk of my previous time to 7 Mile. I was there for the better part, around 5 years. But it was sort of, I stopped a little bit. So when I first decided to get into brewing and to go pro. I started at 4 Pines. I did about 6 months of volunteering. This was, I'm just going to throw a year out there. I'm going to guess like 2009, 2010. And I did about 6 months for them. And then Dave Padden opened up Riverside. And Riverside 77 came on tap at Scotty's pub at the Rocks. I tried, I believe, one of the first batches there with some mates at Rocks Brewing, or at the Rocks, not Rocks Brewing. Rocks Brewing didn't exist yet, but at the Rocks pub and Hearts pub, and tried it, loved it, went, holy crap, this is the best IPA I've tried in Australia. This is easily equal to some of the stuff in San Diego. And so tried that and went to Dave and said, hey, I've only just started. I've got 6 months under my belt at 4 Pines working for free. Would you consider
giving me some money?
No, not even. Would you consider letting me do the same for you? And he said, yep, brought me on. He was a bit more gracious. I think I only worked for him for free for about a month until he probably felt a bit guilty and started paying me an extremely modest wage. But hey, at least he was paying me. And it sort of went from there. I worked for Dave, I want to say, for about a year, maybe somewhere between a year and 18 months as a junior brewer. And then from there, I ended up going back to 4 Pines and getting a better gig, or a better paying gig at the very least. And stayed there for about 5 years. And after seeing their growth, what they were achieving, one, it was a little bit inspiring to do my own thing, but I guess more than probably being more honest, they were maybe starting to steer away from, I guess, some of the experimental fun stuff, at least on the production kit. And it was only really possible to do that at Manly, at the small original pilot kit. And we only really got an opportunity as a brewer like once per year to do that. And for me,
it's not enough.
It wasn't enough. Like I really wanted to get out there and try to prove my worth a bit more. Sometimes, I don't know how many other brewers are going to listen and work for bigger breweries and stuff, but if you've got a real passion and drive, sometimes working for a really big brand, like, not throwing shade at Stone and Wood or something, but if you're just pumping out Pack Ale or a brand like that that's tens of millions of litres a year.
Brian at Spangled Drongo today said the same.
You're just pumping out. You may as well, in my opinion, you may as well be pumping out like Campbell's Soup or something, because you lose the passion. It just starts to go. So for me, that was a big driver in like, hey, I'm going to start my own brand. I'm going to run it on a 12 hex system, not a 50 hex system. I'm going to be doing just different beers, and I'm just going to see what happens really, and just run with it. So that was sort of my motivator to doing it. It wasn't anything, certainly not greed related. I think if you're starting a brewery thinking you're going to be driving a Ferrari,
you're just kidding yourself.
I've got some really sad news for you. There's maybe, you can count on one hand, the amount of people in Australia that have made that dream come true. So. The vast majority of brewers are just like chefs, hard-working, passionate people.
We just love what we do.
We just love what we do, and we do it because we love it. Yeah, same reason you don't see too many chefs outside of Gordon Ramsay driving a McLaren or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Ballina, man. Like, so your history was down in Sydney at some big places down there, and then Ballina, was this a ancestral home that you've come back to, or was it just the change of pace and you just love the climate up here because it's
bit of
better?
both. Bit of both. Bit of that and more like starting a family and those sorts of things.
Yep.
So my old man lived up here most of my life. I'm the poor downtrodden child of a divorce. But no, my parents split up when I was about 1, so I don't remember them being together. But yeah, he moved up here shortly after that, and I used to visit on school holidays,
cool.
and things like that. But no, to be honest, the big part of starting this was my father not just encouraging me to do it, but I guess asking me to do it.
Yeah.
So the original concept for this brewery as well was he knew that I had ambition, and so he sort of had a mate that wanted to do it. And the original goal, the original plan for them was going to be that they were going to start it, and I was just going to train them.
Yeah.
So I was just going to fly up on weekends while still working as a brewer midweek for someone else, and fly up here every weekend, train them how to brew over a year or two, and then they would just run with it. That eventually changed pretty quickly once they realised that brewing wasn't maybe as easy as they thought.
And they don't like cleaning. And
yeah, they're like, oh, this is actually a lot of work. It's not just sitting around drinking beer, even though that's what we're doing right now. And so,
this is all we do.
Pretty quickly, they realised that, maybe we should actually bring Matty in as a partner and offer him the job as a 1/3 chair and head brewer and all those sorts of things. So very quickly that business changed to that. And so because they both lived up here, then it just sort of naturally fell into place that, hey, we're going to open it here.
When you were putting the brewery here, was it because of the airport and the 7 miles up sort of thing, or like were you looking for a specific spot in this industrial area, or was it this was all where the council and town planner said this is where you got to go, sort of?
Again, like a lot of the questions, a bit of everything. This was an empty block when we started. It was one of the last vacant blocks in the whole of the Ballina Shire that was in an industrial area. We actually first wanted to create just a brew pub, not a production brewery. And we wanted to be on the main strip of Ballina, or at least one street back from River Street. There's an old fire station there and an old council chambers, and we wanted to take that over and run a restaurant or a bistro. And then in the fire station, I wanted to build a 200 litre pilot system with just probably 5 or 6 fermenters. That was the original plan, very much like, like Sam Calagione was like an inspiration to me when I wanted to go from home brewer to pro, and he very much like did that baby step of like 50 litre brew and just went into the bistro and went from that. So for me, reading his book and watching his show and doing all that, I was like, that's a great idea. Crawl before you walk, walk before you run. So that was what we wanted to do, and council told us no. What a surprise. They basically said, like as soon as the words like brewery or beer production would happen on site, they just freak out because like production's a scary word, even though I was like, no, it's 200 litres. And they're like, and even for them, for someone that's normally at home used to drinking a can, they go, 200 litres? Holy crap, that's a lot of beer.
That's so much beer.
And for me, coming from a brewery producing over 10 million litres, I was just like, guys, it's not a lot of beer.
That's a bathtub.
Let's not freak out. But they didn't quite see it that way. So they said, hey, no, you need to look in the industrial area. We changed our business plan, changed our business model a bit to going, hey, well, if we're going to be out here, I'm not going to do a 200 litre system with a kitchen and stuff, because it's not going to be the right atmosphere. It's going to take a lot more work to turn a 500 square metre shed into a comfortable restaurant feel.
Make it worthwhile.
Let's lean into the industrial side of it. Let's just go production and let's do those sorts of things. So yeah, we sort of a little bit got forced out here by council, and then once we found the right spot in the industrial area, which was this right next to the airport, we sort of just went, okay, well, yeah, we still need to have a tap room. We still need to make sure that people that it's late on flights can come over and get a beer and all that sort of stuff. And we sort of just tried to, I guess, play the cards that were dealt to us.
What's next for 7 Mile? Like, are you going to put it in a kitchen? Are you going to expand elsewhere? Are you going to have a tap room somewhere else?
The last few years have been pretty hard to plan around. I wish
you don't need to tell me. I know that too.
I wish I knew. No, look, we don't plan on getting our cellar any bigger. As I said before, when we're on the other side, we've got 21 tanks total, 17. If I'm doing my math right,
with it, right?
17 fermenters and 4 brights. We can do a fair bit with that. We can't do anything crazy like national contracts or anything, obviously, but for what I always wanted this to be, I guess I wanted it to be more something like, I guess, the famous sort of American breweries like Russian River, more down to earth and trying to be the best brewery in the world, like AleSmith or something like that in San Diego. Like I'm very San Diego inspired, and that's sort of what I want to be. So for me, it's not like, oh, we have even if we do hit peak demand of this kit, I'm not going to be like, oh, sweet, on to the next 5 million litre brewery. I'm confident in saying our future is not another production brewery. This will always be our production brewery, and then the only thing that would ever happen would be potentially we would open a second tap room. For me, my focus is always going to be on the beer quality, as much as it's my job as well as the brewery manager to run the business. Like as long as we're profitable, it doesn't have to be much, but as long as we're profitable. And for me, it's hard to chase up follow-up to champion trophies. I'm not going to expect that the West Coast is going to win champion trophies every single year, but that's, I guess, always the goal.
You're a Matt Wilson.
It's the goal. Matt will, well, the other one's got a lot more trophies than me, but I've got the one that he wants. So that's my goal really, is to just keep consistently focusing on our beer, and that's been my focus since the start, is sort of like a build it and they will come. The first few years I wasn't sure that they were going to come. But 5 years on now, they're coming. They're starting to come.
Well, I finished this. I want to go and get a few takeaways and get into it.
Awesome.
Legend.
Cheers.
Mate, thanks heaps, mate.
Thank you.